There is a job right now with more open positions than there are people to fill them, and most of those people are wildly underqualified for what it pays. That job is the cybersecurity analyst, and the demand behind it is not hype. It's in the government's own numbers. The Bureau of Labor Statistics projects 29% job growth this decade. The average job grows 3%. That makes it one of the 5 fastest-growing occupations in the entire country, with about 16,000 openings every single year. Zoom out globally and the gap is staggering. ISC2 counts roughly 4.8 million unfilled cybersecurity jobs worldwide. In the United States alone, that's over 500,000 roles sitting empty, waiting for someone qualified to walk in. But before you quit your job and buy a course, you need the honest version of this career, not the recruiter's version. So here's the plan: what the job actually is day to day, the tiers and the tools, what it really pays, the certifications worth your money, and a 6-month roadmap to break in. No hype, no fear, just what's true in 2026. Let's get into it. First, let's kill the myth. A cybersecurity analyst is not a hoodie-wearing hacker in a dark basement, furiously typing to stop a countdown timer. The real entry-level job has a name: Tier 1 SOC Analyst. SOC stands for Security Operations Center. Think of the SOC as the emergency room of a company's network, and you, at Tier 1, are triage. Here's a typical shift. Alerts pour into a big console all day, something looks unusual on a laptop. A login fires from a strange country, a file behaves badly. Your job is to look at each alert and answer one question fast: is this real or is it noise? You check the suspicious clues against threat intelligence, pull in context from the endpoint and the network, and make a call. True positive, false positive, or escalate to Tier 2, then you document it and grab the next one. 2 honest truths about this. First, a lot of SOCs run 24/7, so entry roles can mean rotating night and weekend shifts. Second, the actual skill isn't memorizing tools, it's judgment. Knowing what normal looks like so the abnormal jumps out at you. It's less action movie, more detective on a stakeout. And if that sounds boring, this career probably isn't for you. If it sounds satisfying, keep watching. That Tier 1 label matters because cybersecurity has one of the clearest career ladders in all of tech: 3 rungs. Tier 1, where you start, is triage and detection. Watch, assess, escalate. It's the on-ramp, and it's where you build instincts. Tier 2 is investigation and response. When you escalate, these are the people who take over. Tier 2 analysts are trusted to actually pull the trigger. Isolate an infected laptop, block a malicious address, disable a hacked account, and reconstruct exactly what happened. Tier 3 is the top of the pyramid, the threat hunters. They don't wait for alerts. They go looking for attackers who slipped past everything. They reverse engineer malware, run digital forensics, and build the custom detections that catch the next intrusion. This is the deep end. The beautiful part: each rung is a concrete promotion with a concrete raise. You don't guess how to move up, you climb. Now the tools. In interviews, 4 acronyms come up again and again. Learn what they do and you'll sound like you belong. First, the SIEM, Security Information and Event Management. It's the giant console that collects logs from everything and raises the alerts you triage. Splunk and Microsoft Sentinel are the big names. Second, EDR, Endpoint Detection and Response. It lives on every laptop and server, watching for malicious behavior. Think CrowdStrike or Microsoft Defender. Third, SOAR, Security Orchestration, Automation and Response. It automates the boring, repetitive steps of a response so humans handle the judgment calls. And fourth, Threat Intelligence Feeds. Constantly updated lists of known bad addresses, domains, and files you match your alerts against. Here's the good news for beginners: you do not need to master all 4 before you're hired. You need to speak the language and prove you can learn. Most of these have free tiers or community editions you can practice on tonight, and doing exactly that is how you stand out. Okay, the number you actually came for. What does this pay? And here's where I have to protect you from a very common lie. You'll see the figure 124,000 thrown around everywhere. That's the government's median for information security analysts. It is real, but it is not your first-year number. That median mixes senior architects and engineers in with beginners. Quoting it as an entry salary is how boot camps sell you a dream. Here is the honest ladder. Tier 1, your first role, realistically lands between $65,000 and $85,000. Reach Tier 2 and you're roughly in the $90,000 to $120,000 range. Tier 3 and specialists push past $130,000 and keep climbing. And this is the part that pays for itself. Certified analysts earn 20 to 30% more than their uncertified peers in the same role. 91% of employers say they prefer certified candidates, so the certs aren't just a resume line, they are a raise, which brings us to exactly which ones. Now, if there are millions of open jobs, you might be wondering why so many beginners say it's brutally hard to land the first one. Both things are true, and here's the catch. In 2025, something shifted. For the first time, ISC2 found that budget constraints overtook the talent shortage as the number one reason security teams are understaffed. A third of organizations say they don't have the resources to staff their teams properly. Nearly a third can't afford the skilled people they actually need. Read that carefully because it changes your whole strategy. The gap isn't a shortage of open roles, it's a shortage of candidates a company can hire and trust on day one. Employers aren't looking to pay you to learn on the job anymore. They want proof you can already contribute. That's not bad news, it's a map. And the pressure on them is enormous. Understaffed companies suffer data breaches that cost, on average, $1.76 million more than well-staffed ones. So they desperately need you, they just need you to prove it first, which is exactly what the right certifications and projects do. There are hundreds of security certifications, and most of them are a waste of your money at the start. For breaking in, 3 things matter. Number 1, and non-negotiable, CompTIA Security Plus. It is the entry ticket the whole industry recognizes. Security Plus alone qualifies you for SOC Analyst roles in the 55 to 72,000 range, and there's a hidden cheat code attached to it. The U.S. Department of Defense mandates Security Plus for its cybersecurity personnel. That single rule creates a permanent floor of demand for people who hold it. Number 2, once you have a little experience, CompTIA CySA Plus, the Cybersecurity Analyst certification. It's built specifically for this job. Adding CySA Plus typically bumps your pay by 10 to 20,000 as you move from entry to mid-level. That's the Tier 1 to Tier 2 jump on paper. And number 3, the one people skip, hands-on labs. Platforms like TryHackMe and Hack the Box let you practice real attacks and defenses in a browser. A quick word on the alphabet soup beyond these. You'll hear about JIAC, Certs, and CEH. They are respected, but they're expensive and aimed at Tier 2 and 3 specialization. Save them for later. Here's my slightly contrarian take. After Security Plus, a portfolio of labs and a couple of documented projects will often beat a third certificate for landing that very first job. Certificates prove you can pass a test, projects prove you can do the work, employers are desperate for the second one. One thing career guides skip where these jobs physically live, because your first employer shapes how fast you grow. There are 2 main worlds. The first is an MSSP, a managed security services provider. That's a company other companies pay to run their security for them. MSSP are the classic first door, high alert volume, fast pace, and you see more attacks in 6 months than some analysts see in years. The pay is lower, but the training is unbeatable. The second world is an in-house SOC. You defend one company from the inside. Calmer, better paid, but usually wants a year or 2 of experience first. So the common playbook is simple. Cut your teeth at an MSSP, absorb everything, then jump in-house for the raise. As for who's hiring hardest, finance, healthcare, government, and defense lead the pack, because they have the most to lose and the strictest rules to follow. And yes, plenty of these roles are hybrid or remote now, but expect on-site to be common early, especially anywhere handling classified or regulated data. Now the question in the back of your mind. If AI can do everything, why train for a job at all? It's a fair question, and the honest answer is nuanced. It's true, in 2025 and 26, AI-powered SOC platforms started autonomously triaging alerts, exactly the Tier 1 work we described. So yes, the pure grunt work of Tier 1 is being automated fast. If your only skill is clicking through alerts, that's a risk. But here's the reframe. AI isn't deleting the analyst, it's flattening the ladder and raising the floor. The human moves from doing the triage to supervising the machine that does it. Someone has to review what the AI flags, judge the weird edge cases it gets wrong, and teach it to be better. That someone needs to understand security deeply. Translation: the boring part of the job is disappearing and the interesting, better paid part is what's left. That's not a threat. For a sharp beginner, that's an accelerator. The winners won't be the people who fear AI or the ones who blindly trust it. They'll be the analysts who know enough to check its work. So let's make it concrete. If you started today, here's a realistic 6-month path from 0 to your first Tier 1 role. Months 1 and 2, fundamentals. How networks actually move data, the basics of operating systems, and living comfortably in a command line. Skip this and everything later crumbles. Months 2 through 4, study for and pass Security Plus. Give yourself a real deadline. Book the exam before you feel ready, it'll focus you. Months 3 through 5, overlapping. Get your hands dirty in the labs. This is where knowledge becomes skill and interview stories are born. Months 4 through 6, Build a small home security lab with a free SIEM, then write up 2 or 3 projects publicly. A blog post, a GitHub repo, anything a hiring manager can see. Month 6, apply everywhere, cast a wide net and expect rejection. It's a numbers game, and the people who get hired are simply the ones who didn't stop applying. One mindset shift that changes everything: treat your first 2 years as a paid residency. Optimize for how fast you learn, not for the biggest starting salary. So, bottom line, is becoming a cybersecurity analyst worth it in 2026? If you want a fast paycheck with no effort, no. The entry pay is good, not magical, and the shifts can be brutal. But if you're genuinely curious, you like puzzles, and you're willing to trade 6 focused months for a career with a clear ladder and enormous demand, it is one of the best bets in tech. The demand is real, the path is mapped, and the door is genuinely open. The only thing missing is someone willing to walk through it. If this gave you a clear picture instead of a sales pitch, subscribe. We break down the certs and careers that actually move the needle in cybersecurity. Now go start month 1.